Alright, so it is kind of late at the moment, so I think I'm just gonna speed run the two chapters we're doing. I thought we were doing three, but turns out we're not done with chapter 3 yet, taking notes in class, so y'all have to wait for that, but we'll have to do the SCOTUS cases as well during that, so it's fine. Chapter 1, topic 1.2. I don't know what happened to 1.1. The U.S. government is based on ideals of limited government, enlightens principles, democracy, the powers held by the people, natural rights, life, liberty, and property can't be taken away. Social contract can consent to surrender some rights and submit to authority in exchange for protection over their other rights. Government by the people, popular sovereignty, government's right to rule comes from the people. Republicanism, authority of the government comes from the people. Declaration of Independence. Jefferson wanted to use natural rights as a main argument. Inalienable rights should be self-evident under the law of nature. Connection with the Constitution. Individual became central focus of the government policy. Equality, freedom, and order. Stuff like that. Participatory theory. Individuals, civil society groups, protest speeches, social media awareness, etc. Pluralist theory, professional groups, interest groups, etc. Elitist theory, small minority with most economic power controls the government. Topic 1.4. Once again, don't know what happened to 1.3. Oh, I think that was the start of participatory theory, whatever. Articles of Confederation. I was like, what does AOC stand for? All I can think of is something else. Articles of Confederation established a weak federal government. Unicameral Congress. Each state had one vote. I don't know what that reads. I'm sorry. Congress could declare war, raise an army, make treaties, coin money, and borrow money. Congress couldn't tax the states or people, regulate interstate commerce. States could impose tariffs on other states, create their own currencies, refuse to recognize federal treaties, and things like that. So basically each state was like their own mini country. Topic 1.5. Anti-Federalists opposed the new constitution and believed in states' rights. They feared a natural government would restrict personal liberties. A national government would take over state powers. Congress would tax heavily. The Supreme Court would overrule state courts. And the President of the United States would head a large standing army. Federalist Paper 10 states that the Republic is the best way to control factions, to delegate authority and disperse power. Anti-Federalist goals were Bill of Rights, more restrictions, eliminate Congress's ability to tax. Brutus 1 says that there are benefits of a small republic, loss of liberty from a large government. The Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments that guarantee of individual rights from government abuse. Topic 1.6. Congressional powers, make laws, power of the purse, declare war. Judicial powers, interpret laws, review decisions of state and lower federal courts. Executive powers, enforce laws, make treaties, commander-in-chief, grant pardons. To be impeached means to be indicted or charged. So, the president can be impeached. Senate holds the impeachment trial, requires a 2/3 vote to remove the president from office. 1.7. Fiscal federalism. The federal governments use use of grants and aid to influence policies in the states. Grants and aid, tool used by the federal government to achieve policy objectives within states. Categorical grants, federal money to the states for a specific purpose, limited in how states can spend funding. A federal mandate is a requirement or order from the central government that all state and local government must comply with. Unfunded mandate is a federal mandate without providing funds. States must pay for it. National Minimum Drinking Age Act of 1984. Goal was to have a uniform drinking age of 21. Any state that legalized drinking under 21 would have their federal highway funds reduced by 10% annually. Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 banned discrimination against people with disabilities, included an unfunded mandate that all public buildings must be accessible to the disabled. Devolution, an attempt to return more authority or power to state or local governments. Block grants, federal money given to the states to use within a broad purpose. So like education. Just use it for education purposes. Revenue sharing, when the federal government apportions tax money to the states with no strings attached. The federal government gains power but gives money, states gain money but lose power, whatever. 1.8 confederal system, subnational government has the most power according to the articles or confederation. I don't know. What are these notes? Unitary system, central government has all power. Federal system, power is divided between national and state governments. Expressed or enumerated powers, powers granted to the national government that are directly stated in the Constitution. Exclusive powers, powers that are only the national government may exercise. Implied powers, not directly or specifically stated, claimed by Congress based on the necessary and proper clause, allows Congress to make economic, environmental, and social legislation. Necessary and proper or elastic clause. Allows Congress to make laws necessary to carry out their expressed powers and provides the basis for implied powers and a critical source of power for the national government. Commerce Clause gives Congress the authority to define almost any productive activity as commerce. Supremacy Clause. States must follow laws passed by Congress, even if state laws constitution conflicts with them. What? Even if state laws conflict with the Constitution. When federal and state laws have conflict, federal is superior. Concurrent powers in the Constitution allow national and state powers to overlap. Didn't we just do 0.8? Whatever. Article 4, full faith and credit clause, requires states to recognize public acts, records, and civil court proceeding from another state. Extradition is the requirement that officials in one state return a defendant to another state where a crime was allegedly committed. Privileges and immunities clause prevents states from discriminating against people from out of the state. 1.9, I think. McCulloch versus Maryland. Congress has implied powers to charter a bank. States can't tax federal government. U.S. versus Lopez. 10th Amendment limits federal government ability to pass legislation. In a unanimous decision, the court said government can run a bank and Maryland couldn't tax it. Strengthen the national government. U.S. versus Lopez was pre-Columbine. We'll go over more of that later. In U.S. versus Darby Lumber Company in 1941, the court stated that the 10th Amendment is not a limit on congressional power. In U.S. versus Wrightwood Dairy Company in 1942, court stated the Commerce Clause affects interstate commerce as well. Whether something is inter or intra-commerce affects whether or not Congress can regulate a specific action or not. This is not relevant. Unit 2, 2.1. The majority party has the most seats, and minority party has the second highest number of seats, I think. Yeah. In either the House of Representatives or the Senate. Senate powers. Advice and consent for nomination and treaty selections, confirm judicial nominations, confirm cabinet positions, confirm agency heads, ratify treaties. Not really anymore, but whatever. Speaker of the House, leader of majority party, presides over the House. Leader of the entire House, chosen by election of the House members. Majority leader, second in command, assists the Speaker, sets the agenda for majority party, responsible for keeping majority members in line and on message. Majority whip, assists the majority leader, collects info about how members are planning to vote, whipping their support on key votes, and setting party strategy in Congress. Minority leader, elected by minority party, responsible for the vision and goals of the minority party in the House. Minority whip, same as majority leader. President of the Senate is the vice president, which has the tie-breaking vote. President pro tempore, I think. Most senior member of the majority party, third in line for the presidency. Majority leader makes committee. Okay, so when I got to majority leader again just now, I think it's for the Senate. Wait, sorry. When I got to what the flip? When I got to president of the Senate, we switched to the Senate. The first part about the majority leader, the minority whip, or majority whip, minority leader, whatever, that was all House. After president of the Senate, it's all, you know what I mean. Majority leader makes committee assignments, setting the Senate voting schedule. Minority leader decides committee membership for minority leader in waiting. Voice of the opposition. Then there's the majority whip and the minority whip, which are the same as the other one. 2.3. Divided government. When the House, Senate, and presidency aren't all held by the same party. Policy gridlock. Making policies become slow and difficult. Reapportionment. Change the number of seats each state has in the House. Redistricting, redrawing congressional districts following reapportionment. Baker versus Carr, we'll get to. Malapportionment. Districts of very unequal size of population. Gerrymandering, drawing districts in bizarre shapes to benefit a party, protect incumbents. Cracking. So there's cracking and packing. Cracking is splitting voters in the opposite party into multiple districts, diluting their voting strength in each district. Packing is concentrating large numbers of voters for the opposite party into a single district to reduce their voting power in other districts. Then we'll get to Shaw versus Reno. Majority-minority districts. Districts are made of mostly minorities. They are allowed. So is gerrymandering. They're allowed. The only issue is when one tries to artificially make a majority-minority district. Trustee, vote how they personally believe is best. Delegate is do what constituents would want. I don't know. Or how constituents want. So basically how the civilians want. Politico depends on the situation. Sometimes act as a trustee, sometimes delegate. An executive order requires only the president has the power of a law, but is not legislation. can be overturned by the next president via a new executive order. Executive branch can only enforce the law constitutionally. If there is a law with consequences, the executive branch is to ensuring the consequences. Executive orders must be constitutional in your line of work. Presidential advantages: commander-in-chief nominates ambassador and diplomats, negotiates treaties and executive agreements, makes executive orders affecting military, defense, diplomatic, and intelligence services, report directly to the president daily. Congress can influence, declare war, power of the purse, Senate ratifies treaties, and confirm cabinet secretaries. Congressional oversight can require heads of defense, state, and intelligence agencies to testify of committee hearings. The War Powers Resolution in 1973, President Commander-in-Chief, but Congress declares war. President reports to Congress within 48 hours of military action. Congress has 60 days to authorize action. If Congress doesn't authorize, the president must withdraw troops within 30 days. Presidents usually ignore this. Limits on presidential power. Can't accomplish most of their objectives without Congress. Congress approval is needed for passing laws and fund programs, confirm appointments, treaty ratification, override veto, court decisions, judicial review, can overturn executive orders. Supreme Court can uphold some parts of the executive orders and block orders. 2.6. The president initiates legislation, has more delegated powers granted by Congress, has the focus of public attention, large staff directly working for the president. The cabinet is heads of 15 major departments requiring Senate confirmation, can be removed by the president at any time. Ambassadors and White House staff, president's closest assistants, and aides that don't need Senate confirmation. Federal judges require Senate confirmation, a president's longest lasting legacy. The bully pulpit is a position of authority that allows the president to speak out on any issue. The State of the Union address is a national televised. President is nationally televised. President promotes his agenda and pressures Congress for support. 212. I don't know where the other numbers went. Whatever. Yeah, we just went from 6 to 12. Whatever. Federal bureaucracy, Jesus, is the departments and agencies within the executive branch that carry out the laws of the nation, meant to be an organization that carries out tasks. The people that carry out these tasks are called bureaucrats or civil servants or career government employees. Political patronage is filling administration positions as a reward for support rather than merit. Replaced with merit system based on competitive testing, results after the passage of the Pendleton Act of 1883. Independent executive agencies are narrow areas of responsibility, perform public services. Government corporations provide unprofited services not being provided by private companies. Independent regulatory commissions are experts who make rules and regulations regulating specific industries, to protect the public. Criticisms of bureaucracy, too large, questionable, red tape, unnecessary rules and regulations. 2.13 Implementation. Putting the laws into action that Congress has passed. Regulation is the process through which the federal government or federal bureaucracy fills in the critical details of the law. The Hatch Act you can't raise money for campaigns, prohibited from participating in federal campaigns or holding elected office. Evaluation is determining if a policy is achieving its stated objectives. Criticism violates separation of powers. Policy is made by unelected officials, whom are not directly responsible to the people. 2.14 through 2.15 Congress can establish agencies, pass legislation altering agency activity, conduct congressional oversight, change agency budgets, and abolish agencies. President can make executive orders, nominate agency heads, fire cabinet secretaries, set goals and priorities for agencies. The Supreme Court can rule on the constitutionality of actions and regulations. The president can appoint and remove individuals and write an annual budget. Power of the purse is if they are pleased with the agency, they may increase its budget. If they're not happy, they reduce its budget. Oversight can be congressional hearings and members of bureaucracy required to testify before Congress. This is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just like, hey, how are you doing? Like, are you doing what you should be? Basically. Government Accountability Office, or GAO. I call it GAO, but it's GAO. Monitors if funds are being spent appropriately. 2 point something, I don't know, I'm losing track. Article 3 of the Constitution, basis for judicial power. Section 1 is the power to interpret the law held by the U.S. Supreme Court. Section 2 is jurisdiction of federal courts. Section 3 deals with treason. Federal judiciary. Don't mind me butchering the hell out of this. Branch of the federal government whose role is to interpret and apply the laws of the nation. Life tenure is death, retirement, or impeachment. So, like, going until death, retirement, or impeachment. This is for judges mostly. Federal Fed 78 by Alexander Hamilton reassured skeptics. We're gonna go over that. I think this is not necessary. Um, 2.9. What the flip is happening, bro? Stare decisis. Let the decision stand. Stare decisis or something. Let the decision stand. Martin versus Hunter's Lessee, in 1816, uses supremacy clause. I actually don't think you need to know these. They're not your required cases. Recess appointment is when the president nominates judges while Congress is recessed. Don't think you need to know that. Topic 2.10. State court authorized to hear cases involving the laws and citizens of their state or city. Civil cases, private rights, penalties, mostly monetary. Criminal cases, actions harm the community. Government tries to prove guilt of defendant. Federal courts decide cases between people of different states against the U.S. and federal law. Sorry. U.S. can be a party. Jurisdiction, authority of courts to hear cases. Original jurisdiction, first to hear a case. Appellate jurisdiction, hear appeals. Federal district court, every state has one. More people equals more courts, sorry. First and last resorts in federal government, or in the federal system, less than 50% are appealed. U.S. Court of Appeals, created to lessen the work of the Supreme Court, appellate only. Supreme Court is the highest court. 90% of cases are appellate, 9 justices, and 1 is chief. Caseload cases, the Supreme Court hears 70 to 80 cases per year. Rule 4 judges must agree to hear the case. Writ of certiorari, a request for lower courts documents. Briefs, written documents for the case. Amicus curiae, briefs submitted by an interested party not involved in the case. Oral argument, each side gets 30 minutes to speak. Concurring opinion and dissenting opinion, or concurring opinion is agree with majority opinion, but for a different reason. Dissenting opinion is doesn't agree with majority, usually just to record they didn't agree with majority for their name's sake. 2.11, judicial restraint. Justices should be cautious. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I'm trying to get through this. Cautious in overturning a law, or in overturning laws. Judicial activism. Justices should wield the power of judicial review. Opinion may be called judicial activism if overruled or ignored precedent, struck down a congressional law, reinterpret a constitutional standard, motivation by desire to achieve a social goal. Strict constructionism is what is directly stated by the Constitution. Broad constructionism is principles of the Constitution and its vague language, and originalism is abide by the framers' intent when writing the Constitution. I was able to do that in less than 30 minutes. I'm so happy. Oh my god. That was so hard. I'm sorry. I did not sound enthused at all. I just was like tweaking out because I'm so tired. Like, today was just not that good. Because I'm recording this as of Wednesday. And, I know this video is not going to come out till Friday. So, yeah, it's not the greatest feeling in the world. Also, I'm pretty sure today or tomorrow I have to, record the next one for, Monday. I might be able to do that Sunday, though. So, anyways, enough of me rambling about off-topic things. Thank you for listening to my rambling. Sorry if I wasn't as enthused today, but I promise next time I'll try to be more upbeat. Yeah. See y'all later. Good luck studying. Bye.